All right, so are you ready to dive into this? We're talking Lake Superior, and let me tell you, getting to the bottom of this one, it's a deep dive for sure. People requested it. They want to go beyond just the basic stuff.
And there's so much more to it than just,
Yeah.
oh, it's big and it's got water. It really is a fascinating lake.
Well, everyone knows it's big. Like, it's famously the largest freshwater lake by surface area, but do you ever try to get your head around what that actually means? The scale of it?
Right, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it.
Okay, so picture this. You could fit all of North America and South America under Lake Superior water. We're talking a whole foot of water, almost 30 centimeters, covering 2 continents.
Wow. And even that just barely scratches the surface. What gets really interesting to me is what that size means for the lake's behavior.
What do you mean?
Well, think about the sheer volume of water we're talking about.
Yeah.
Lake Superior has an incredibly long residence time because of it, like 191 years. One drop of water hangs out in there for nearly 2 centuries.
191 years. So that means some of the water in Lake Superior today that could have been there when the Edmund Fitzgerald went down?
It's a sobering thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of gives me chills. And speaking of chills, the Wikipedia article on Lake Superior, it calls it the graveyard of the Great Lakes, and it mentions how well preserved everything is down there.
It's the cold, mostly. The deep parts of the lake are almost always near freezing, so you don't get the same kind of decay. It's why those shipwrecks, they're like time capsules. Sometimes even. Well, the article mentions that even human remains.
Okay, now you're just trying to make sure I never go for a swim.
I'm just saying, it's a powerful reminder of what we're dealing with. This lake, it's not just a pretty view, it's a force of nature.
Okay. Point taken. But before we scare everyone off, let's back up a bit. I'm talking way, way back. Before those ships, before European explorers even knew this lake existed. Because Lake Superior's story, it starts long before any of that.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking billions of years ago to the formation of the Midcontinent Rift.
The Midcontinent Rift.
Yeah, this is where it gets really cool. Imagine the Earth's crust splitting apart. I mean, a massive crack stretching thousands of miles. That's the Midcontinent Rift, one of the deepest rifts on the entire planet, actually, and Lake Superior that sits right smack in the middle of it.
So what you're saying is Lake Superior is basically a giant puddle in a massive crack in the Earth.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But a really, really old puddle. And that rift is responsible for so much of what we see today, like the amethyst mines around Thunder Bay. That's connected to the rift, too.
See, this is what you start with what seems like a simple topic, like Lake Superior, and suddenly we're talking about the Earth splitting apart and amethyst crystals.
And we're just getting started. What's amazing is that Lake Superior can still surprise us, even with all the science and technology we have today.
We've gone through this whole crazy history of Lake Superior, from ancient rifts to sunken ships, but what about today? What's going on with this big lake right now?
It's a story of resilience, but also some challenges. See, even though the lake feels ancient, it's facing some modern pressures, and that's throwing a wrench into things. The Wikipedia article, it mentioned rising nitrate levels, and that's a big one.
Nitrate levels, okay, so that's something we should be worried about, right? But before we dive into the whole nitrate situation, can you just give me a quick rundown? What are nitrates and why are they important for the lake?
Okay, so nitrates, they're just these compounds that have nitrogen in them. Think of them like fertilizer for the lake, you know. But the problem is, too much of a good thing can be bad. When too many nitrates get into the lake, it's like overfeeding your plants. You get a ton of algae growth, and then when those algae die and break down, they use up the oxygen in the water. That's how you get dead zones, basically. Areas where fish can't survive because there's not enough oxygen.
Okay, so it's like a chain reaction and not a good one.
Yeah.
Where are these nitrates coming from, though? Are they just a natural part of the lake, or are we humans adding to the problem?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's one that scientists are trying to figure out. It's probably a bunch of things working together. Runoff from farms, where they use fertilizers, that's a big suspect. And sewage, wastewater treatment plants, those can add nitrates too. And even climate change plays a part. Warmer temperatures make the algae grow faster, and that makes the oxygen problem even worse.
It's all connected, huh? So the article said they're still trying to figure out what all the effects of these rising nitrate levels will be.
Yeah, it's kind of a scientific mystery. It's not like we're just sitting around waiting for the answer, though. We're collecting data, analyzing trends, figuring out what's going on. That's what makes it so interesting, really.
It's a bit of a reminder, I guess, that Lake Superior, for all its awesome size and history, it's still vulnerable to what's happening around it. And that makes our actions, even if we're far away from the lake, those matter too. Okay, so we talked about the past, we talked about the present, What about the future? What do you think Lake Superior will look like after those 191 years are up, when one whole cycle of those water molecules has gone through?
Predicting the future, that's always a tough thing.
Yeah.
But we can kind of look at the trends and see what's possible, right?
So we're maybe looking at a future where Lake Superior is a totally different place, depending on what we do, huh? Makes you think.
It really does. And it just shows how everything's connected, you know? Climate change, pollution, all the things we do. It all affects the lake in some way.
We're all connected to it, whether we realize it or not.
That's exactly it. What we do in our own lives, in our towns, in the whole world, it all adds up to this one lake's future.
It's a big responsibility when you think about it like that. But even with all that, there's still hope for Lake Superior.
Of course. I mean, more and more people are realizing what's at stake. Scientists are doing important research. People are trying to make laws to protect the lake. And communities are coming together to say, hey, this is our lake. We need to take care of it. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And we can't forget just how incredible Lake Superior is. All this sciencey stuff is fascinating, but there's just something magical about it, you know?
Totally. Remember what the Ojibwe people call it, Gitchigami, the Great Sea. That tells you everything you need to know about how much they've always respected this lake.
It's a force of nature, that's for sure. And sometimes it's a furious force. The article mentioned those waves, like 30 feet high.
Oh, yeah. It's got its own weather systems, its own personality. You don't mess with Lake Superior.
It really shows you that no matter how much we think we know, nature always has a way of putting us in our place.
It's a good reminder. We're not in charge as much as we like to think we are.
Okay, so we're wrapping up this deep dive on Lake Superior. What's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember from all of this?
You know, I think it's about looking beyond the surface.
Uh-huh.
We see pictures of Lake Superior, and it's this beautiful blue expanse, right?
Okay.
But as we've been talking about, there's a whole other world down there. Ancient geology, shipwrecks, this delicate balance of life, and a future that we get to decide.
Like, don't just see the lake, see everything behind it, everything it represents.
Exactly. Appreciate the history, the beauty, all of it. But also realize that we have to be responsible for its future.
I like that. So next time you see Lake Superior, or even just a photo of it, imagine those cliffs. Feel that cool wind, and think about all the stories the lake could tell if it could talk.
And think about how you can be a part of making sure those stories continue for years to
I
come.
couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that was pretty incredible learning all that. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. Remember those water molecules hanging out on the lake for hundreds of years? What if each one held a memory? What stories would Lake Superior tell if it could speak?